Praise and Production.
Gumbolaya podcast, pippity dippity, rambling at. I got this dude,
Back again.
this guy in the studio.
Kenn, he's back.
Part 3. Talking to one of my besties ever, Kenneth. I keep not because you said something about the government before.
It's all good. You gave it in the beginning.
Kenny,
in the first series.
Chef Kenny Ray, Part 1. Kenneth Raymond, and his last name is not Hall because that would be government, and I'm not supposed to do government. Kenneth, Chef Kenny Ray, one of my bestest friends. Talk about stuff, and what were we talking about?
Having enough.
Oh yeah, because I was talking about how much I can relate to both sides of what you said your parents would go back and forth about, where mom's is trying to help fam, and I was saying because we have enough to give, and you didn't have enough. The reason I said have enough, you can't give something you don't have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you got a sandwich, you can give a sandwich, but if you don't have a sandwich, you can't have a sandwich. So what do you mean by you don't have enough?
We barely had enough to maintain life, like financially.
Yeah.
We were.
Because you did say the whole struggle for you at home was whether the light's gonna be on, whether there'd be food in the fridge.
Yeah.
So moms was giving away food, and then y'all was with the hungry bellies.
Moms would float. I learned my hustle from my mama.
Yeah.
So I learned about floating checks. I learned about IOUs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That don't exist no more because, you're going to run me my money. We didn't even know IOU. You ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
So that whole narrative of the hustle was indoctrinated in me at a young age.
Yeah.
So when I got to that point where I could hustle and make money, I had already been, perceiving like, we might not be what I think.
Mm-hmm.
We were living ghetto fabulous in the sense of when money was right, we had.
Yeah.
But those were far and few moments between each other.
Yeah.
So, I would cling to those moments. So it's not that she would give away our dinner. It would be, I know if I give this now, I get it back before I need it. But it always didn't work that way.
Wait, say that again?
If I give them this now.
This is mom?
Yeah.
So mom was saying,
if I give them this now, loan them this now, I get it back before I need it.
Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen.
And my dad saw that pattern. We would get it back, but it'd be like, the lights is already off.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go ask my partner for money to get gas because I'm waiting for your payday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where the we didn't have comes in because mom's is like living, she was working on that faith of my family.
Yeah.
My family ain't gonna do me dirty, which they didn't.
Yeah.
Never.
But it's just hard to keep the house running if
So, like I said, I didn't have a relationship with my dad till I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
Not because he was an absentee father, it's because he slept all the time.
Yeah.
When I saw him, he was coming in between job 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Or sleep.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that bonding until he got enough, like he got promoted in the railroad to where he was at that point, he can quit the second job and make ends meet with this.
Yeah.
So
what did he do before?
He was doing security. He was always in some capacity with the railroad.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So
he's working 2 jobs at the same company?
No. He would work
the main job and then
security or
okay.
Some kind of hustle.
Yeah.
He'd do construction all the time. Like he always did construction. That's why I can do any and everything I need to do because he would be like, you're gonna learn how to work.
Yeah.
I didn't have summers. If I wasn't playing football, You know, I was on somebody's roof,
Yeah.
or I was, you know, putting up some
You know how to
some
roof?
drywall. Yeah, you know, I know how to roof. I know how to drywall. I know how to put in floors. I know how to do basic plumbing. You know, when it come down to it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it done, man.
Yeah.
That whole mindset, like I said, failure, quitting, all of that is not an
Mhm.
option for me. I'm gonna figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah.
So we created this work love relationship
Mm.
that manifested and grew into a father son relationship. So I didn't have the model childhood of, you know, playing in the park with the dad or
Mhm.
going to whatever events with the dad. Nah,
It's working.
it was work. You know, I did all of that with my moms, and you know, now that I'm older and I understand, I see why everything was get it done before we go home. So
What do you
that you
mean?
don't know.
Oh, wait, what? Wait, I want to understand that. What do you mean?
We didn't take I didn't get to take home souvenirs. I didn't get to bring leftovers home. I didn't
Oh.
get, like, what was done between me and mom's was me and mom's. Daddy didn't need to find out.
For what particular reason?
Money.
Okay. Okay.
You know, she
she didn't want him knowing that.
She wanted me to have some semblance of a childhood.
Moms, yeah.
And she was like, "No, we don't have it. But
Right.
I'm gonna take you to the movies. Eat all your popcorn. Drink your Slurpee.
Don't take it home.
Don't take it home. You know, if I take you to the zoo,
Yeah.
you can go to the zoo. We went with Auntie.
But wait, but you couldn't tell him? You couldn't tell Dad?
Nah, it was like
it had to be rough. Yeah.
You know, so
but then you would see the conversations when he would find out, I'm assuming. Yeah.
And I would be so confused. And the conflict was, don't fuss enough at my mom's for
she did something nice
happy.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't understand as a youth.
He's like, I'm breaking my neck to you
know, and you taking them to the zoo and we can't pay the light bill.
Right. That's tough.
So
yeah.
So, you know, and there goes another trauma of not thinking my dad loved me.
Right. Because he didn't want her to do the things that made you feel connected to your mom. Yeah.
So, you know, those narratives that I created for myself out of ignorance of adult problems.
Well, yeah,
issues,
you were a kid. Yeah.
You know, so I had a hatred for my father as a kid. Also tethered to, you know, like I told you, my molestation started at age 7.
Yeah.
You know, from 7 to 11. So not only was I getting, you know, molested by the mom's friend, Pops is fussing at moms for trying to keep me happy.
Right. So the relief was a prop. Yeah.
So it was
Man,
like,
that's so complicated.
You know, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, thanks, Mom. You know, the mom who's saying I'm lying about getting molested is like, here's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You know?
So when were you able, because I remember you shared that with me, when were you able to have that conversation with your dad in terms of like, I don't understand why you seem to always take the position of like, don't do happy stuff. Like, how did that ever come out? Because I remember you told me how things went down when the matter of the molestation was brought to your dad's attention and how they had to have that conversation, how hard that was. But was there ever a separate conversation where you talked about, yo, she's trying to help me enjoy life and you be fussing at her about it? Like, did y'all ever... Because remember, when I met you, you and your dad were really tight.
Yeah.
Like, y'all had a great relationship. So, like, when was that shift? When you kind of got the dad perspective and you got to know him?
After she passed away.
Okay.
When the unwanted conversations needed to be had.
Yeah.
I don't ever think that me and my father had a hard/difficult conversation. We had conversations that we didn't want to have. Like,
what's the difference for you? Because to me, having a conversation you don't want to have is hard. But what do you mean when you say that?
Talking to my dad has never been hard. So
I remember that about your dad. He was very easy to talk to.
So I couldn't imagine having a hard conversation with him. That's why I say we just had conversations we didn't want to have.
Okay.
We were both very guarded men.
Yeah.
So being vulnerable was something that we chose not to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's most men. Yeah, that's not a y'all thing. That's most men struggle with that. And it's because man culture is be tough, deal with it, get over it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had those conversations after she passed away, understanding that I was not Renee's baby boy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was not Kenny's little boy. I was not little Kenny no more. I was Kenny.
Yeah.
After mom's passed, there was no more prefix.
Yeah.
I was Kenny now.
Yeah.
Because I made that shift.
Yeah.
So he had to address his inadequacies of communication, and I had to address my inability to be soft. Because he needed me to not be hard because he was broken.
Yeah. So
I had to find a way to expose my truth. Yeah. Without feeling weak.
Right. How did that come about? Because if as young as you were, I mean, again, like we were just talking before, like there's people that are in their senior citizen ages that never figure out how to live authentically. Yeah. So as a teen, because your mom passed when you were 18, right?
Yeah. Well, I was 17, about to be 18.
About to be 18. Yeah. So that's very young to master such a big concept. You have two conflicting ideologies that were a part of your foundation. So what do you think was a significant part of clearing that up for you and kind of opening the door to that path versus fighting that conflict? Like what do you think kind of, or who or what made the difference in terms of this is something I need to work on within myself? How did you know you needed to do that?
The initial start to that was the reality of death and loss.
Yeah.
Once I realized that I can lose a parent, it was like, all right, let that go.
Yeah.
You gotta let it go because you don't know if he's gonna be gone tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah.
So it forced me. I didn't want to do it, but the reality of time and lack of it forced me to say, either you let your guard down or you lose your dad, because he was spiraling into depression and darkness. He was going to a really low place, and it was like, I may not lose him to death, but I would mentally and emotionally lose him because he would just check out.
Again, how would you know how to process that as a teenager? I mean, I get that you could see that something's going on with Pop, but how do you think you were able to see what I need to do is in light of what I see? The solution versus identifying the issue. There's one thing to be, I guess, clear enough to even see the issue, right? To see my dad is broken. My dad, because you were hurting. So how do you think you were able to recognize a even possible solution when you were going through your own stuff? And to my knowledge, you didn't have any mental health training or education.
No. I will kind of fall back on what I said about the sea turtle. It was just that download.
Felt like it needed to happen.
That it was God did that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it then.
Yeah.
But I see it now that God had to do the work.
So it wasn't like someone you knew that y'all were talking to that was like, hey, this is what's going on. Let me help you. You need to work on this.
I had no outside help. My dad had friends, but they were alphas.
Yeah.
It was, hey, Candace had his brew.
Yeah.
You know, let's blaze this spliff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
let's get your mind off of it. That's what they knew.
Yeah.
And that wasn't doing anything but pushing him deeper.
Yeah, that doesn't,
You know, so it was like, you're not helping, bro. So I, at 17, was like, right, gotta keep it, you know, whatever rating.
Yeah. I gotta work on this.
Stop coming around. I need my dad.
Oh, you was telling his homies,
like, give him some space because you're not helping. You know, he's abusing alcohol now. You know, he's living in darkness.
Yeah.
He doesn't open up the blinds. Like, I'm seeing this and not knowing what's happening, but I know this ain't what was before my mom.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, we need to fix this. We need to figure something out. So turned down football scholarships, turned down college, and I went to work because he couldn't work. I'm like, I already know this routine.
What he couldn't work, like functioning, like he was depressed to the point we couldn't work.
Yeah.
So literally, what was and I didn't say this before, but you already know me. If I ask a question that's too personal,
oh no, nothing. And I don't have no limits, man.
Right.
Like, you know,
I don't want to cause no issues. Also, I mean, I wouldn't want like anybody in his family to be uncomfortable with me being all up in the business. But so you know, I'll let you make that discretion, or rather, I'll respect your discretion. What did it look like day to day? You just explained that he was like isolating. You know, keeping blinds closed, stuff like that. And the reason I'm asking, because I just went through major and severe depression, and I was in the room with the blinds. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. You know, I'm not quite yet to the point where I can talk about it for a long time without breaking down. Yeah. But I know what that felt like, and I know what I went through, and you know what I'm saying. So as a kid, seeing your dad go through that, you obviously knew something was wrong, but you didn't know he was dealing with depression.
Yeah, I didn't know, you know, depression and therapy and mental health was taboo growing up.
Yeah.
You know, that was
because
like,
of the weakness thing and got it. Yeah.
Also, it was like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. It was like, that's white people stuff.
Yeah.
That ain't real.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Black people don't deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was like a social construct that didn't exist for us.
Yeah.
So, for him to see, like, he had, you know, his workplace ace side outside of works come someone. His name was Anton. Work with him, cover for him at work. You know, he would come to the house and be like, "Yo, Big Kenn, you know, you good?" You know, like, he was the only one I would let come in the house, and he would tell me, "Keep me posted on your dad. I'm worried about him."
Okay.
And those were triggers.
Yeah.
Not knowing that he was depressed,
right,
but it's just like,
something's up. This is as serious as it feels.
Yeah.
So, but you were saying he wasn't working. Like, was this like a day here, a day there, or was this like he stopped working?
Yeah, he had to take a leave of absence, you know, grief.
Yeah.
They gave him the initial
bereavement
time.
leave. Yeah.
But he pushed it out, and then it became a point where it was like, are we gonna make rent?
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah,
how this gonna work? So it was like, get back on the streets.
You
man.
gotta work. Yeah.
Gotta make it happen. So I got a 9-to-5 so that, you know, the law wouldn't be on my back with the extra, you know. So we like, all right, we making it. We all right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as you know, in the years the year following, you know, we had to swiftly, you know, leave our home. And
oh yeah. I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
It was a really crappy time in my life. Because he wasn't back to being, you know, Kenny Sr.
Yeah.
He was just coming out of that broken stage, and it was just like, yeah, we need this property. So, you know, I got to do what I got to do.
How, like, when do you recall? I mean, I know it's a gradual thing, but when do you recall the sun kind of coming back up? in his life? When did you start to see him? Because so at 13, y'all started to get to know each other. When do you feel like y'all hit the tight place? You said it was when your mom passed, right? Because y'all had to talk.
Oh no, that was just when we were able to talk about.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I remember
why we got tight. 13.
Okay.
Like he made it very clear that I am going to be in your life.
Got it. So then, so you're going through. He's dealing with the loss of his wife. You're dealing with loss of your mom, and the both of you are trying to be there for each other as best you can. He's very much struggling. You're very much struggling. When do you feel like you saw the tide turn a bit? When do you feel like the water started to recede?
When survival had to kick in, when we got the eviction notice.
Okay.
Which was before the actual year. It was like, hey, this is what we're doing next year. We turning the property into section.
Oh, y'all got heads up. I thought it was all of a sudden. You told me a lot of the details, but I thought it was y'all got to get out now.
It was.
Oh,
it was.
What would you mean by the previous year? What'd you mean?
Because mom's passed in March. From March to she passed in March. I graduated. And that summer, I was supposed to be preparing for, to leave to go to college. And that's when I started working.
Mm.
We got the notice that everything needed to be done by the new year in September.
Okay. I understand.
So it was like September is converted. I mean,
right.
January 1, this is what's going to happen. They told him that they gave him the heads up in September, and he was like, two middle fingers, like, you gotta wait.
Yeah.
We're gonna be out.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't have the opportunity to do this anymore.
Right.
Because now I still
necessity is kicking in. Yeah.
Yeah. He doing what he's doing to help us pay bills.
Right.
And, but I gotta make sure he got a roof over his head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was 18 and, at that point, I kind of was smelling myself and feeling myself.
Yeah.
I helped him, relocate, and then I bounced, man. I was like...
Oh, y'all didn't live together?
We did for a short period of time.
Okay.
But I was making my own money, and I was Kenny. I wasn't little Kenny no more.
Yeah.
Mom's was gone. He's trying to be a dad again, and I'm like... Nah.
Yeah, you in young buck face. Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
feeling self-sufficient. Yeah, let's conquer the world. Yeah.
I got my own whip. I got my own money.
Yeah.
Talking about a curfew.
Yeah.
So I got me a little crappy apartment and dip.
I don't know if I ever knew that.
Yeah.
I thought after y'all had to leave the childhood home, I thought you and him were together since then.
No, we
I remember you said you lived in out of state for a while, but so that part of your story was y'all had to get out quick. He got the spot, and very soon you got your own place.
Mm-hmm.
So, but were y'all able to stay like connected?
Oh yeah, we were tight.
Okay, cool. I got
tight.
you.
It was just
you doing your thing.
I told him, I'm like, look, I don't want to fracture us. Like, I didn't say it that this is the mature me saying it, but in a nutshell, it was I don't want us to fall apart.
Yeah.
So let me go do me.
Yeah.
And I got you. And we was thick as thieves.
Okay.
I went to church. I did what I had to do as far as, being his son, and our relationship was tight, but I just couldn't live under his rule. I couldn't abide by his rules because I had my own.
Well, you were old enough to feel like you didn't have to.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had enough money and your own vehicle, that's a lot of I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, who knows what would have happened had you been able to kind of be under that, fatherly care for a little bit of time. But you had also just come from a phase of self-sufficiency and support as well, where you're kind of helping him get back on his feet. So I can understand where your head would have been, where you were like, curfew.
Right.
Yeah.
I did it for a while. And then when things got got heavy for him again, and I went back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not about to watch you struggle.
Yeah.
So we cohabitated again, and then I started feeling myself again, and I got the
good old ego. Yeah.
I got that kingpin mentality.
Yeah.
And I started getting heavier into extracurriculars as far as ways to make money.
Yeah.
And it led me to Arizona. And I went out there and got connected with some people I shouldn't have, and
did some things that you shouldn't have. And then let's fast forward. So, because I mean, I know a lot of it, and I don't know how much we need to be putting on the webs. I don't want nobody knocking on your door.
I mean,
amen.
I get what you're saying. It's just to get to that point of the reconciliation part of, getting back home.
Yeah, I feel you.
And the healing, because I recognize that I was running from what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And that was being a foundationally sound man.
Yeah.
And helping my father grieve.
Yeah.
I was
your pastor talks about that a lot, about how it felt when he realized that God was revealing to him that his perspective was partial, and he had been struggling with, why is I don't want to mess up his story, but he talks about how so much of his life was wondering why God gave him that father. And there was a moment where he talks about realizing that God was saying to him, I gave you to him as a son. And this is a time where he needs you to be his son. It ain't all about you.
Right.
And I share with you, that was a significant revelation in what I just went through, that I'm all up in my feelings about how broken I am and how devastated I feel and how me. And I started to get to a point where I'm realizing that this isn't just me in a situation. It's also the other ones that were involved.
Yeah.
And so that was like the beginning of me just doing better, understanding that my responsibility as a friend and as a family member, and as a leader to some, as a big brother to some, as a mentor to some, and as a counselor to some. Like I had more to think about than just what I was struggling with, but I also needed to remember that I can't ignore what I'm feeling, because I just went through a trauma bomb. Like I went through something very real. So I can relate to that moment, because I've just heard it so many times, and like going through it recently, it hits differently than, the hundreds of times I've heard people talk about, get outside yourself, don't be selfish, it ain't all about you. We hear that mess all the time.
Yeah.
But when you are drowning in ego and self-focus, you don't see it until, something kind of snaps you. Just like the moment when the housing wasn't secure anymore, and he was able to see through the very real pain he was dealing with. It was very real.
Yeah.
And then I need to do because I need to do.
Yeah.
I got to do this. I can very much relate to that. I'm very surprised how much you chose to share. I was just going to be I can't cuss. Do I cuss on this? I don't know if I cuss. I'm going to choose not to in this moment, because my mama might be watching. I admire your courage to be very vulnerable. You and I talk about this stuff, but this is going to be public. And there's just so much, Pastor talked about it today, there's so much power
about to say
in sharing your story, and I appreciate it. And we're gonna end this one, and then I'm gonna stop talking quite as much. I'm gonna let you talk a little more, or at least I'm gonna try. That's not a strength of mine, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see if I can shut up for a little while. I don't know. Anyways, so this was 3, right? Part 4 coming up. Part 4 after this. Part 4.
If it's my time, then it's my time. Worry about yours, 'cause I got mine. Cause I got mine. Worry about yours, 'cause I got mine. Cause I got mine. Praise and production.